Hi, my name is Krista. In this video, I'll be walking you through how to run an online assessment in Akindi. The first step will be setting up and customizing the online assessment. To do this, you'll click Create Assessment. You'll select your desired course and select Online Assessment at the very bottom. On this first step, you'll be customizing how the test questions will be displayed to the students. So we already have our course selected. We can then add an assessment name, and the assessment type is already set to online. There's two different ways in which you can deliver online assessments to students. The first is to deliver it through the LMS. This means that the students will click the same Launch Akindi button that you click to access your Akindi account to access their online assessment. This is the option that we recommend if Akindi is connected to your learning management system. If Akindi is not connected to your learning management system, then you have the option to deliver the assessment through email, which means the students will be emailed a secure link to access their assessment. In this video, I'm going to show you how to deliver the assessment through the LMS. You will set the test question display to one question at a time, and you can choose to scramble questions, answers, or both. By default, Akindi will allow students to go back to previously answered questions, though you can prevent them by doing this by disabling backtracking. This means students will only be able to move forward through the assessment. Once you've finished customizing the assessment, we will click Save and Continue, and Akindi will then prompt you to import your test questions. To import your questions to Akindi, click Import Questions and select the desired Word document. And click Upload. As that is processing to Akindi, let me show you what a Word document will look like. This is the Word document that I uploaded. As you can see, the questions are numbered, the answers are lettered, and the correct answer is indicated using either boldface or an asterisk, or you can also use the highlight feature in Word. Your questions can include tables and images, and as well as matching questions. Akindi will automatically identify the content of your Word document and import those questions directly into Akindi. And here is the document that's been imported into Akindi. As you can see, all of the questions, answers, tables, and images were already set directly in Akindi. To set the answer key, you can simply select the correct response using these buttons. And if you wish to change the grading scheme or the question weight, you can do that by opening this question menu and either changing the points or changing the grading scheme. If you'd like to keep questions together during the scrambling process, so for example, there are a number of questions that are related to a particular table or image or data set, then you have the option to create them in a question group. Akindi will automatically identify question groups from your Word document by looking for wording such as use the image below to answer the following 3 questions. Akindi will then know that these 3 questions, or however many you have listed there, are about this provided information and will include them in a question group. If you have matching questions, you will have to set these answer keys manually in Akindi. You can do this by clicking Set Answer Key, selecting the correct response, and clicking OK. You can then repeat this for the other answers. Now that all of my questions are imported into Akindi, I will click Next. You can then set the general schedule for the assessment. This will be the schedule that will apply to the majority of the class. We can set accommodations on the next step. You can choose to enforce a time limit for the assessment and select how long you would like that time limit to be. You will then set the activation date and the deadline. This is the window that the assessment will be available for. So you could set a 24-hour activation window, but then once the students start the assessment, they'll have an hour to complete it. You can then click Save and Continue. This is the online assessment status page. From this page, you'll be able to set accommodations, deliver the assessment, and track students in real time as they take the assessment. If you have particular students that require a special schedule or accommodations on their assessments, you can do that by selecting them from the table, clicking the Actions menu, and select Edit Assessment Timing. You can then make the desired changes and click Save and Continue. That student's schedule will then be updated in the table. You have the option to preview the assessment before delivering it to students by clicking Preview Assessment. It's now time to deliver the assessment to the students. You can do this by clicking Publish to LMS, and you have the option to notify the students by email as well. As soon as you click Publish, the assessment will be listed as an upcoming assessment for the students. Once the activation date passes, then they will be able to actually start the assessment. From the student's end, they'll log into the learning management system and click the same Launch Akindi button that you click. Because the activation date has already passed, they'll be able to click Start Assessment. The students will be presented with assessment instructions, and as soon as they click I agree, the assessment will begin and the timer will start. The questions will be presented one at a time to the students. And because I chose to allow students to backtrack to previously answered questions, there will be a question index and a previous question button. If you prevented backtracking, then this question index and previous question button will not appear for students. Because I chose to randomize both the questions and answers, each student will receive a unique version of this assessment. As the students complete the assessment, we will automatically save their response in our backend. This ensures that if the student loses internet connection or experiences technical difficulties, then their saved responses will be restored when they re-access Akindi. That said, the timer will continue to run while they're not present on the assessment, meaning if I left for 20 minutes and came back, I would have 20 fewer minutes to complete the assessment. When a response has been saved for a question, a little question mark appears next to the question index. This allows students to keep track of which questions they've completed if they choose to skip a question and come back to it later. Because I had a question group related to this table with 3 questions inside that question group, questions 9, 10, and 11 are kept together during the scrambling process, and the table will appear for all of those questions. Once the students have completed all of the questions, they'll click Submit, and their responses will automatically be presented to you in Akindi. As the students complete the assessment, this online assessment status page will automatically update. As you can see, my sample student has submitted their response with 11 questions completed, and this is how long they spent on the assessment. As the students are writing the assessment, you can click the little refresh icon, which will update the information, including the number of questions that they've answered, as well as the time that they've spent at this very moment. Once all of the students have completed the assessment, then the results will populate inside of Akindi. Akindi will reorder all of the questions back to the original order, regardless of where the student saw that question. You then have the option to export all of the results by either sending it back to the LMS gradebook or exporting it to a CSV file. If you have any questions or feedback, please reach out to the Akindi team.